as our aim is to generate the sine wave using TMS320F28335 DSP kit. Again, as we know, for generating the sine wave we need the trigonometric function that is called as Sine, and in C language or in C directory the sine function has to be included in math.h as a library. So for that we need to include math.h. Then next, for generating the sine wave we need three variables, that is t, which is varying from 0 to 2 pi. Sig is one variable which indicate the amplitude of the sine signal for particular value of t, and ind is the sample index where I want to store my amplitude of the sine signal. So as we know, t is varying from 0 to 2 pi, so I have to declare that t as a double data type. Sig and ind we have declared as an integer data type, and Sig in bracket 62, it indicates that the number of samples for the generation of sine signal are 62. So we have started t from 0 to 6.2 with an increment of 0.1. Again, here we have given void, main void. It indicates that we are not returning any data type or we are not passing any data type from the function. That's why we have mentioned the data type of return as void and the data type of passing argument as also void.
We are using an infinite running loop as we have to generate sine wave continuously, and we are defining a time variable from 0 to 6.2 as 6.2 denotes the 2 pi, and we are incrementing time in steps of 0.1. So we are as the index should always be integer in a discrete domain, we are multiplying it with 10, and the signal which we are generating contains the amplitude of the sine, and CCS cannot plot a 16-bit decimal point values. We are multiplying the amplitude of the sine wave with 1000 value and consider the 3 decimal points as we are taken. So once the program is completed, we can check for the errors by building the program. To build the program there are two ways. One is by pressing Ctrl B, or we can see the icon here which says build debug for project sine. So we click on that and the building project process will happen. You can see in the console window that building is finished, and one more thing you have to consider is there should not be any error in the problems menu. If there are any errors, you have to clear those errors in the program and once again build. So as we don't have any errors in the problems, we can go for debugging the program. So to debug we press function 11 key. So we can see the debugging process is happening. So once the debug process is completed, we can run the code in TMS320F28335 by clicking F8 key or by clicking this icon which says resume. So now the code is running in the DSP kit. At the time when we want to stop, when we want to see the waveform, we can stop the code running by pressing suspend or pressing Alt F8 key. So now the program is stopped or paused. If we want to see any variable values which is stored in as an array as sine wave, we come to the expression window and we can add any variable which we want to see. As we are generating sine wave with variable name Sig, we can add that variable and it will show the data type and the number of size of the signal which it has. As we have 62 samples, it has integer 62, and we can see the values what it has stored in the arrays, and you can see the address of the each data points, each samples in the address bar. So we can see that signal variable contains the amplitude of the sine wave which is multiplied with 1000. So once we have to plot the sine wave, we go to the tools menu and we select graph single time Here we have to select some of the parameters. The acquisition buffer size denotes how many samples we want to display at a time. So we have 62 samples to generate sine wave. So we take 62, and as we have selected 16-bit signed integer, and we starting address should be the variable name which we are plotting. So our variable is SIG. So one more thing is display data size. This should be greater than the acquisition buffer size, as this denotes how many cycles of acquisition buffer size should be displayed in one window. So we click OK, and the sine wave will be generated. So as we can see, at a time once 62 samples will be generated. If we want to see many cycles in a window, you can run the program again by pressing F8 and then stopping. The window will be refreshed up to the 200 samples what we have selected. So one more way is to generate or to plot the various signals in CCS is, once we have seeing the expressions in the expression window, we can go there, select that variable, right click, and then press graph. So another graph of sine wave will be generated. If you want many cycles, again you can run the program and then suspend. The window will be refreshed.